Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th Canto, 21st chapter, text number 17. Please repeat after me. Ishvaralambanam chittam Ishvaralambanam chittam Kurvato ananyaradasaha Kurvato ananyaradasaha Maya gunamayi rajan Maya gunamayi rajan Swapnavat pratyaliyata Swapnavat pratyaliyata Ishvaralambanam chittam Gurvato nanyaradasaha Maya gunamayi rajan Swapnavat pratyaliyata Ishvaralambanam chittam Gurvato nanyaradasaha Maya gunamayi rajan Patmavat pratyaliyata Ishvaralambanam chittam Kurvato ananyaradasaha Maya gunamayi rajan Swapnavat pratyaliyata Ishvaralambanam chittam Kurvato ananyaradasaha Maya gunamayi rajan Swapnavat pratyaliyata Ishvaralambanam chittam Kurvato ananyaradasaha Maya gunamayi rajan Swapnavat pratyaliyata. Word to word translation. Please repeat after me. Ishvara alambanam. Completely taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Chittam. His consciousness. Kurvataha. Fixing. Ananyaradasaha. For Rantideva, who was undeviated and desiring nothing other than to serve the Supreme Lord. Maya, the illusory energy. Gunamayi, consisting of the three modes of nature. Rajan, O Maharaj Parikshit. Swapnavat, like a dream. Pratyaliyata, merged. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Maharaj Parikshit, because King Rantideva was a pure devotee, always Krishna conscious and free from all material desires, the Lord's illusory energy, Maya, could not exhibit herself before him. On the contrary, for him, Maya entirely vanished, exactly like a dream. Purport. As it is said, Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Haya Andakar, Yahan Krishna, Tahan Nahi Mayar Adhikar. Just as there is no chance that darkness can exist in the sunshine, in a pure Krishna conscious person, there can be no existence of Maya. The Lord Himself says in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. If one wants to be free from the influence of Maya, the illusory energy, one must become Krishna conscious and always keep Krishna prominent within the core of his heart. In Bhagavad Gita 9.34, the Lord advises that one always think of Him. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhya jimam namaskuru. In this way, by always being Krishna minded or Krishna conscious, one can surpass the influence of Maya. Mayam etam tarantite. Because Rantideva was Krishna conscious, he was not under the influence of the illusory energy. The word Swapnavat is significant in this connection, because in the material world the mind is absorbed in materialistic activities. When one is asleep, many contradictory activities appear in one's dream. When one awakens, however, these activities automatically merge into the mind. Similarly, as long as one is under the influence of the material energy, he makes many plans and schemes. But when one is Krishna conscious, such dream-like plans automatically disappear. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Enam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Desatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakti. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. O Maharaj Parikshit, because King Rantideva was a pure devotee, always Krishna conscious and free from all material desires, the Lord's illusory energy, Maya, could not exhibit herself before him. On the contrary, for him, Maya entirely vanished, exactly like a dream. So we see here in this 9th canto and the 21st chapter, there's a description of King Rantideva and his wonderful qualities and pastimes. Rantideva, anybody remembers what was he very famous for? His very charitable nature. He was seeing the presence of the Supreme Lord in every living entity. and thus he wanted to make sure that all living entities are taken care of um, nicely. So, a particular example is there of his charitable nature. He was actually famous all over the three worlds as a very charitable person. Once, he had fasted for 48 days. His whole family, not just him, had fasted for 48 days. And they were about to break fast. And it is said that Rantideva would would be satisfied with whatever comes of its own accord. They say that Yadracha Labha Santushto. Right? Similarly, Rantideva was always satisfied with what came. And so that day, there was an arrangement of some milk preparations, some fruits and some water and all that was arranged for breaking the fast. So they all gathered together and they were about to break their fast. I think Mahaprasada going to prayers were also done. And then at that time, when Brahmana comes and Rantideva very nicely receives him, and he gives him whatever was all this food that was prepared. Actually, I forgot one other part here. That breaking fast after 48 days, he had divided the prasadam amongst all the relatives. They are already taken. He was about to take. That was the thing. And then there was only one person's food was there. And then he gave the food to that Brahmana. Then the another use. So the Brahmana arrived first. Actually, sorry, I'm mixing things up. He said, I'll just read the translation. In the morning, Rantideva received some water and some foodstuffs made with milk and ghee. But when he and his family were about to eat, a Brahmana guest arrived. Because Rantideva perceived the presence of the Supreme Godhead everywhere and in every living entity, he received the guest with faith and respect and gave him a share of the food. The Brahmana guest ate his share and then went away. Thereafter, having divided the remaining food with his relatives, Rantideva was just about to eat his own share when a Shudra guest arrived. Seeing the Shudra in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, King Rantideva gave him also a share of the food. When the Shudra went away, he was being tested more. Another guest arrived surrounded by dogs. This was the Chandala. And said, O king, I and my company of dogs are very hungry. Please give us something to eat. With great respect, King Rantideva offered the balance of the food to the dogs and the master of the dogs who had come as guests. The king offered them all respects and obeisances. Thereafter, only the drinking water remained, and there was only enough to satisfy one person. And when the king was just about to drink it, a Chandala appeared and said, O king, although I am low-born, kindly give me some drinking water. Aggrieved at hearing the pitiable words of the poor, fatigued Chandala, Maharaja Rantideva spoke the following nectarian words. And basically, he prayed to the Supreme Lord that he doesn't want any eightfold perfections, but he wants to stay among the living entities and suffer all distresses on their behalf, so that they may be freed from suffering. By offering my water to maintain the life of this poor Chandala who is struggling to live, I am being freed from all hunger, thirst, fatigue, and trembling of the body, moroseness, distress, lamentation, and delusion. Having spoken thus, King Rantideva, although on the verge of death because of thirst, gave his own portion of water to the Chandala, and without hesitation, for the king was naturally very kind and sober. This was actually a test. At that time, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva appeared and showed that they were testing him, and Dharmaraj as well, and they glorified his very exemplary nature. There's actually a similar personality in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, who prayed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the deliverance of all living entities. Vasudeva Datta, right? Very famous for. He requests Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, please give me the karma of all the living entities in the world, and you liberate them. Right? That was, the level of compassion that Vasudeva Datta had. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased with this exemplary thought and consciousness, and he told him that he would liberate all living entities. So we see here in the Shastras there are very wonderful examples of great personalities who exhibited very high levels of compassion and love for other living entities. In this particular verse, it's interesting to note how Maya could not exhibit herself before him. On the contrary, for him, Maya entirely vanished, just like a dream, exactly like a dream. Prabhupada gives the example, just like clouds, like a mist is formed, right? In the early morning, there is mist. How is mist formed? Cold and water vapor. No, but there is something else that's needed. Just cold and water vapor won't create mist. Something to do with the sun. Sun should not be there, but the water has to be hot. The hot water creates the vapor, and in the early morning that it becomes mist. But where does the water get its heat? From the sun itself, right? So like that, the mist is in the early morning when the sun rises, right? It dissipates the mist, right? Initially, it looks like the mist is covering the sun, but when the sun shines, all the mist dissipates. So like that, Maya actually is the energy of the Supreme Lord Himself, but its effect on us is to cover our vision so that we cannot see the Supreme Lord, we cannot experience Him. Right? And then when Krishna, like the sun, rises in our heart, then the Maya gets dissipated. Just like when the sun comes up, the mist just disappears completely. So, and again it is said he was free from all material desires. So there are good lessons for us to learn from this activities of King Rantideva, and from this particular verse. the nature of Maya is to create um, artificial, what shall we say, the priorities for living entities. Like Prabhupada is telling over here, as long as one is under the influence of material energy, he makes many plans and schemes. But when one is in Krishna conscious, such dreamlike plans automatically disappear. The nature of Maya's power to trap a living entity is to create forever an illusion of happiness. Right? It's different objects of material objects are dangled in front of the living entity, and the living entity thinks, oh, if I had this, if I had this, then I'll become happy. And it is not just gross material objects, but usually typically in the form of relationships with other living entities. And it's always, you don't have anything now. Whatever you have is not what you need for happiness. It is something else. This one element, if it gets added, everything. Just this one thing. And this, Prabhupada used to call this post-dated check. Right? Maya is always giving you a post-dated check. It is not something about today this what will happen. No, tomorrow you're going to get this. And there's a future date written on the check. Can you really encash the check? Huh? When you try to go to encash the check, the teller will give you one more check. No, take this check for the one more future date. Forever there is a post-dated check. That is the nature of Maya's this thing. Have you noticed? Everybody has these particular desires. If I get this, I'll be happy. And if somebody is very retrospective and you go back and analyze your own life, many of the things that you thought will give you happy, you got. But it really didn't give you happiness. Anybody is happy with after you got what you wanted? No? Still getting there. Same thing makes you sad. You never got what you want. Because the postage check is still there. Prabhupada used to give the example of a carrot being dangled in front of a donkey. Right? And the carrot is like, oh, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. Because when it lurches forward, the carrot also moves forward. Right? That is the nature of Maya's, trapping you in this eternal forward-looking this thing. There's always something to look for. There's always something that will complete you. One has to, the only way one can break out of this is to awaken the Surya, Sama, the Surya of Krishna in our heart. That is the only thing that will dissipate this Maya. Magically it will disappear. Prabhupada used to give the example. Electricity, same electricity with an expert, electrician or a scientist, same electricity is running the heater right now. Right? It is warming up the place. Now when it is summer, the very same electricity produces cold with the air conditioner. So electricity is not producing, is the one that is this thing. It is the expert scientist or, technologist who is able to create that thing. So like that, the energy of the Lord is the same. When that energy is in touch with the Supreme Lord, is connected to the Lord and engaged in His service, it becomes spiritual. And when the same energy is disconnected from the Lord, it becomes material. So today also happens to be the disappearance day of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. And he was a stalwart Acharya who had very wonderful vision of how to engage the Lord's energy in the Lord's service. He was very revolutionary in his days. Right? What are some of his very revolutionary ideas of preaching or spreading Krishna consciousness? Let's hear, I'm sure all of us will remember different aspects. Yes? Yeah, in those days, think about it, early 1900s, a car was very, very expensive. Right? It's not cheap. Only the really rich people could afford it. But I think he must have been the very first Mathadipati to have a car. Right? He would have a car and use it for preaching. He would go from place to place and preach. And he was so well connected that some of the dignitaries, including the British, would participate in the programs. Like we hear about the inauguration of the Allahabad temple, where Srila Prabhupada got initiated. It was attended by the governor of that particular state, which is a big thing. What else? Yeah, institutionalized, systematic spreading of these things. In his time, he had 64, 64, huh? 64 matas. Can you imagine? Practically all the important cities had a Chaitanya Mat, Gaudiya Mat. And there was very systematic way it was organized. It's also very, very special and this thing. What else? Yeah, he started a very systematic printing of books. He had a own printing press. Gaudiya Mat used to have several printing presses. And he gave a lot of importance to this thing. They would publish the magazines. Right? Huh? Yeah, he had the vision of preaching outside. He sent his disciples to Germany, to England, to preach. Spending lots of money on that. What else? Yeah. Broth Madanga can go everywhere. Yeah. There were a few other things in his preaching. Anybody remembers he used to organize very big pandal programs and have all these different dolls, exhibits. Some of them actually had some mechanical movement and all that. That Prabhupada was very inspired by his Guru Maharaj in this manner. And they would set up very, very big programs all over. And different aspects of the Shastras would be exhibited through this dolls and movements and all that. And people would easily dioramas, exhibits. Through that they could easily understand different aspects of the Shastras. See, we take many things for granted, but for the very first time, a lot of this were illustrated, right? Like Srila Prabhupada, when he created this changing bodies exhibit, right? How the same soul goes through different bodies. Unless you see, suddenly you see the same person suddenly growing up like that, then it becomes very distinct. Right? What else? In Vrindavan used to do something. Anybody remembers? That was in other places also. In Vrindavan mainly was Parikram. You used to organize huge Rajamandal Parikram. It is said that hundreds of thousands of people, lakhs of people would join. They would create 10 cities and they would go from place to place, and very elaborate, beautiful arrangements were being made for all devotees to stay, have prasadam and all that. And it was very famous, and so many people used to come and participate in that. For his time, these were very extraordinary things. Very extraordinary. And towards the end of his life, he was actually quite disappointed with many of his disciples. That, instead of being engaged in preaching, they were more concerned about who would get what facility, right, in the Bagh Bazaar temple. One very rich merchant had built a palatial matha for him in a prestigious neighborhood of Calcutta. Said that the building would rise many floors high and full of marble outside and inside. Very opulent. And then instead of utilizing all of these facilities for serving and for the mission, devotees would be quarreling about who gets which room. I need this room. This room has got a nice window. I need this higher floor because good air comes over here. All this kind of things. So just exact contrast of today's verse. Because he was free from all material desires, the Lord's illusory energy Maya could not exhibit herself before him. Externally, you may change your form. You may wear saffron. You may wear, doesn't matter, saffron, white, what you are wearing. You may have the external features of a devotee and shave your head and put chika and all those things. But if your heart is full of material desires, then what is the use? Yesterday, we were reading about Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. One of his servants, Nitai Das, had left the temple in Vrindavan. Vrindavan devotees were thinking he's in Bombay. Bombay devotees were thinking he's in Vrindavan. And he had taken 4,000 rupees for buying books. And he had disappeared. And he was living in, they heard I was living in Radhakund or something. And Prabhupada was quite upset. Prabhupada said, Radhakund is non-different from Radharani. Unless you are pure, unless you are free from material desires, one should not attempt to do these kind of things. So, one has to be very careful and conscious about this, because Maya has lots of means of entrapping you. Right? That's why one of the verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sikshashtaka, Which verse is that talks about the entrapments of this world? Na dhanam na janam sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Right? Mama janmani janmanishwari. Bhakti. So, na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. This is the entrapments of this world. Maya creates this. Oh, if you have dhanam, if you have wealth, then your future is taken care of. How many people are there who have a lot of wealth and who will die miserable deaths, lonely, and this thing? In fact, how many of them who have wealth which will be taken away by different means? Or even if you have wealth, what is the use of your wealth if you're sick and dying and this thing? Right? You'll see, a person will have so much money, so much wealth, but his health will not permit him to eat even 3 morsels of food. Right? What is the use? At best, you can pay the money to get some injection of glucose or something like that. Right? So Janam, followers, big emperors have come and gone, who used to rule the world, control huge vast of these things. Where are they now? At best, somebody will remember them for 1 year, 2 years, 100 years, 200 years. Some mention will be there here and there. But where are they? Where is their kingdom? Where is their power? Sundarim, Kavitam. Right? This whole world is running after the opposite sex. A soul in a man's body is running after a woman. Soul in a woman's body is running after a man. Because, that union is the epitome of the carrot that is dangling in front of you. Right? A person who is not married is thinking, oh, if only I get a beautiful wife. My whole life is settled. Right? And a person who is married, as soon as a person is married, that taste for that particular woman is gone. They're looking for other things. That is the nature of this world. So, whatever you already have, there is no value for that. Something else you need, something else you need. Keep on running behind that. So, as long as we continue to harbor these material desires, one is Maya will hold you down and basically take away your most precious commodity. Right? What is your most precious commodity? Your true wealth. If not a wealth, true possession, you can say maybe. Time and attention. Right? In all these different things, time is just ticking away. Right? And when one will soon be, the time of reckoning will come for everybody. So, there is very wonderful things to be learnt from Rantideva's pastimes, and similarly from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's life, of how he engaged everything in the Lord's service. And when your only desire is to serve the Supreme Lord and you connect everything with Krishna, automatically there is no material desires and you are free from this material world. So, we should all practice this Yadrujjalabha Santushto. Each of us has a different prarabdha karma. Each of us has a different manifestation of Kala that will bring different things in front of us. One should worry about one's own, what is given. and how to utilize that in the Lord's service in a proper way. That should be our continuous goal. Or else Maya can trap you at any time and put you into this illusion and dreams. Okay, we'll stop here. Anybody has any questions or comments? No question? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिल प्रभुपाद की बोल, प्रेमानंद।